I've worked in steel mills for most of my adult life. It's not glamorous, but it's honest, and if you've got a strong back and a good sense of timing, it pays well enough to keep the bills quiet. I never cared much for stories or ghosts. Those were for drunks at the bar or kids trying to spook each other before night shift. But that changed the day they sent me down to Line 4. Line 4 had been shut down for almost 8 years, not permanently, just mothballed until production picked up again. But last March, after the new contracts came in, management decided to reopen that section. It had to be inspected first, of course, and somehow that task landed on my desk. The thing about Line 4 was the slag pile. Everyone avoided it. The older guys would grumble about bad air or shaky scaffolding, but no one ever gave a real reason. If someone brought up Annie, they'd go quiet or change the subject. I always assumed it was just superstition. Every mill has its boogeyman. I didn't expect to find anything but rust and rats. It was early, just past 6 a.m. when I went in. No one else was on shift yet. The guard at the front gate just nodded and buzzed me through without a word. I parked near the back entrance and walked through the east corridor, flashlight in one hand, clipboard in the other. The place smelled like damp iron and old oil, exactly how you'd imagine a forgotten factory would. I took my time, checked the piping, structural joints, electrical boxes. Everything was where it should be. But the deeper I went, the more it felt wrong. The air got heavier, and not just with dust. My boots echoed strangely on the floor, like the sound didn't want to travel too far. I kept telling myself it was just the layout, just acoustics. When I reached the slag pile, I paused. The massive mound of black, hardened waste looked like a fossilized wave frozen mid-crash. The catwalk above it groaned as I stepped onto it. I made a note to flag the railing. It felt looser than it should. Then I saw it. At the far end of the walkway near the control booth, a small folding chair was open. Next to it sat a plastic coffee cup. Nothing strange, except for the fact that it was half full, still warm. I walked over slowly, my boots careful on the rusted metal. The cup had a small lipstick mark on the rim. Not fresh, but not old either. I looked around. No footsteps, no sign of anyone else. "Hello?" I called out. Nothing. I radioed back to the office, but all I got was static, typical dead zone. I made a note of the items and moved on. Just past the control booth, I heard it. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, behind me. I turned fast. Nothing. The chair was still there. The cup hadn't moved. Then the smell hit me. Not sulfur or burning, it was laundry detergent. Fresh, like someone had just cleaned a uniform, completely out of place. I turned back toward the walkway, and that's when I noticed the shadow move beneath it. There was someone under the catwalk. I climbed down the maintenance ladder and stepped onto the slag floor. It crunched underfoot like broken ceramic. I followed the edge of the pile around a metal pillar. That's when I saw her. A woman, late 50s, maybe older, wearing an old-style mill uniform. Canvas overalls, steel-toe boots, hair tucked under a faded bandana. She was facing away from me, standing perfectly still, hands at her sides. "Ma'am," I said, "this area's restricted. Are you lost?" She didn't turn. I stepped closer. "Ma'am, I need you to identify yourself." Then she turned slowly, and for a moment I forgot to breathe. Her face wasn't angry, wasn't afraid. It was calm, almost kind. "You don't have to worry about me," she said. Her voice was low, even. "I can't get killed," she added. And then came the part that made my skin crawl. "I'm already dead." Before I could move, the lights above flickered once and went out. My flashlight died with them. I stood in the dark, frozen, listening for her voice again. but I heard only silence. I didn't run. I don't say that to sound brave. The truth is, I couldn't move. Not because of fear, at least not the kind you feel in your chest. This was different. It was like the room itself pressed down on me, holding me in place. My flashlight wouldn't respond. I smacked it twice with my palm. Nothing, just pitch black silence and the lingering scent of detergent. I remembered a safety light near the control booth and turned back the way I came, hands out in front of me like a blind man. I hadn't taken 3 steps when I heard movement again. Not footsteps this time. Breathing. Soft, steady, maybe 2 meters away. I stood perfectly still, my eyes adjusted just enough to make out outlines. The metal beam to my left, the faint orange glow of rust on the catwalk above. I waited, hoping it was just my own breath echoing weirdly. Then something exhaled behind me. Long, slow, human. I spun, heart hammering, and stumbled back toward the ladder. My boot slipped on slag and I went down hard, elbow crashing into a steel drum. Pain shot up my arm, but I didn't care. I scrambled to my feet and climbed, 2 rungs at a time, ignoring the grinding noise behind me. The moment I reached the platform, the flashlight flickered once in my hand, then blinked back to life. The space below was empty. No woman, no voice, no sign she'd ever been there, except for the cup, still half full, still warm. I should have reported it, should have told someone. But how do you explain that you met a dead woman and she spoke calmly, like a shift supervisor reminding you about overtime rules? So I lied. I said I'd found signs of recent trespassing. Nothing dangerous, just a few items someone left behind. I filed a report and got back to work. But I didn't sleep well that night, or the next. 3 days later, I was called back. They needed a deeper inspection before restarting the line. Environmental team, engineers, the whole lot. I wasn't supposed to go alone, but schedules got crossed, and when I arrived, the building was empty. In same parking lot, same east corridor. But this time, the hallway lights stayed off, even the ones near the safety stations. I flicked my flashlight on and forced myself to walk faster, not letting my brain catch up to the memories. Everything looked normal until I reached the catwalk. The chair was gone, but the coffee cup was back, in the same spot. Same lipstick mark. My hand trembled as I picked it up. It was cold this time, but that didn't make me feel any better. "Okay," I whispered. "I get it. You don't want people here." So I wasn't expecting a response. But one came anyway. A low metallic clang, like a wrench dropped onto steel, echoed from below. Then the slow creak of the ladder. Someone was climbing up. I aimed the flashlight over the edge, breath caught in my throat. Step by step, the ladder moved. But nothing was there, just the sound, just the motion, until it stopped. One final clank, then silence. I waited, arm locked, light fixed on the top of the ladder. And then, a hand. Pale, thin, fingers curled around the edge. That's when I screamed. I dropped the flashlight and ran. Full sprint through the corridor, past the boiler room, back to the exit. I didn't stop until I was in my truck, keys shaking in my fingers. I didn't go back to line 4. They reassigned me the following week, said the environmental team was handling the rest. I didn't ask for details. But it wasn't over. 2 months later, during a night shift on line 2, a young guy named Eric came up to me during break, said he'd been working near the service tunnels below the slag yard. He looked pale, shaky. "I saw someone down there," he told me. "Old lady." Didn't say much, just looked at me. I asked if she spoke. He nodded, slowly. He said, "Don't worry about me. I can't get killed." He paused. And then, "I'm already dead." My mouth went dry. I asked him if he'd told anyone else. He said no, he thought he was losing his mind. I didn't say much, just patted his shoulder and told him to take a break. That night, I stayed late after shift, walked down to the far end of line 4 alone, flashlight in hand, but this time with a full pack of batteries and backup. I stood near the pile, waited for something, anything. Nothing came, but I left the cup there, right on the catwalk where she liked it. A few weeks later, I learned her name. It was late, maybe 3 a.m., during a maintenance window. I'd gone into the records room to find old inspection reports for Line 2, but the cabinets hadn't been reorganized since the early 2000s. While flipping through a binder labeled Scheduled Incidents, I found a faded newspaper clipping stuck between pages. The headline read, "Local woman killed in mill accident, 1947. The article was short. A woman named Annabelle Trask had been crushed by a failed gantry support while working near the Slag collection area. It said she was the only female crew member at the time, known for her dedication and quiet manner. No family listed, no photograph, just a name. Annie. From then on, it all clicked. I understood why the older guys avoided the place. They knew. Maybe not everything, but enough. I never told them what I saw. I didn't need to. We had a silent agreement, stay out of line 4, let it rest. And I did, for months, until something changed. It was Eric again. One night he showed up pale as chalk, said he'd seen Annie near the locker room stairwell. She wasn't standing still this time. She was following him. She didn't blink, he whispered. I turned around and she was closer. 2 other crew members reported tools going missing, only to find them neatly laid out on top of the slag pile. Another guy, Lewis, refused to come back after hearing someone call his name in his own voice. The stories built up. The mill manager ordered a sweep, cameras, full inspection. Nothing turned up, but the activity didn't stop. I was moved to administrative duties soon after, partly because of seniority, partly because I requested it. I said it was a knee injury. Truth is, I couldn't walk those corridors anymore without feeling watched. Even now, sitting at a desk, I sometimes hear the creak of that ladder in my dreams, that hand, pale and thin, reaching over the edge. The worst part is the silence that follows. But this isn't just about me. 2 years ago, the mill held a charity event. Open house, families invited, tours. I wasn't involved, but I came by to support a friend. There was a group of kids near the safety simulator, playing with hard hats and posing for photos. One girl, maybe 10 years old, stood very still near the end of the catwalk above the slag yard, alone, staring down. When asked what she was looking at, she said, "There is a lady down there." "What lady?" someone asked. Better afterward. "She's working," she smiled at me. That catwalk had been locked all day. No one else reported seeing her. I haven't been back since. But I think about her every time I pass the old smokestacks on the highway. Every time a new worker joins and whispers about the strange air near line 4. And when I can't sleep, those nights where everything is quiet, too quiet, I hear the words again. Not shouted, not whispered, just spoken, like she's right there behind me. "You don't have to worry about me. I can't get killed. I'm already dead."